What up, Doe? One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey. It's a Wednesday evening and it can only mean one thing. Yes, we are here with the college football podcast. Last night a DJ saved my life. I actually sung it for you there. Ryan, we are in 10 weeks of the college football season have gone now. We have 3 weekends left before we get to championship week. The season's going by in a flash, and week by week, more and more teams, the seasons are done. And for some, the season's only just about to begin.
Yep. Like I said, this time within next month, nearly all football will have been played aside from bowl games and playoffs. That's literally how close we are to the end now. We've got a handful left unbeaten. We've got a good number of teams already booked bowl spots. We've got some that are doing it as we speak tonight, throughout the weekend, next few weeks. But yeah, we have whittled it down to every division or conference now is down to what feels like final 3 or 4 teams that can really only be in it. And most of that, everyone else has just fallen by the wayside and is playing for pride right now.
Yeah, you're right. We're down to our last 7 unbeaten sides. In the little scrolling section below, I keep who's in there. So you can see there, we lost 1 team this week out of the undefeated group. And I can already see Brent is in the chat with us this evening, the happiest chappy in the world, because on Friday I wrote something rather degrading about his Army Black Knights in response to a message he sent us on YouTube, and I said they had a 0% chance of beating the Air Force Falcons this week, and then they went and tanked them. Brent has sent us in a super chat, $2. Appreciate that. He goes, Army clipped the Falcons' wings. Yes, they did, and Army are going to get a lot of hate later for that. So I've got a special section devoted to Army this evening, Brent. You're going to see me at my pettiest, and you're going to love it. But yeah, we are going to be looking back at week 10 of the season. A lot went on, not on the face of things. A lot of the big seeds won. But then when you look below the surface, conference title games, all that sort of stuff is in there at the minute. And there were a lot of big results, so we have a lot to talk about. And then, of course, we're going to talk about week 11 coming up this week. It's the big one. Maybe the last chance James Franklin has to earn my respect as head coach of Penn State as they play Michigan, but we will talk all about that in a bit. Let's just give a shout out to everyone in the building first, because there is a lot of people in this evening, so thank you for joining us on Twitch. We've had Silver Rush 24 subscribed at tier 1, been subscribed for 3 months, currently on a 2-month streak. Really appreciate you subbing to the channel. Thank you very much. Goes LA bound, go Lions. Hey, have a great weekend. Hope that the Lions are able to can the Chargers and carry on the push to the playoffs. We'll be doing the show tomorrow, our Chargers preview. But yeah, have a great weekend in LA and hope the Lions can get a win for you there. Got a lot of people in on YouTube. So Ash has been in there. He says, go Knowles. They, of course, won again this weekend. Lisa De Lorenzo's in the building. She goes, hi Ash, hi Anthony, hi Ryan. Hope you're doing well, Lisa. Always great to have you in there. Of course, Brent's in the building. He was never going to miss this opportunity to rub salt in my wound. Hope you are doing well, Brent. Ken Stauder's in the building as well. Grandizer is in the building. He says, we love when you sing, Anthony. Bloody good. Well, you know, you might be the only one, Brent, but Grandizer, but I do try there. Ken goes, I blame Ant for Air Force's demise. Yeah, it's on me. I got too big for my boots and fate decided to punish me. So yeah, totally my fault. Got any questions or anything during the night, just whack them in the comments. We will get to them. Let's just very quickly go through the housekeeping. We'll get that out the way. Roar of the Lions UK Discord, if you want in, let us know. We'll send you a link. The main podcast, we are back tomorrow. We are talking with our good friend from NFL Scotland, Sean Black. He's going to be joining us as the LA Chargers representative, so please do come check that show out. It's going to be great stuff. He knows what he is talking about. And then if you've not seen it, Monday just gone, we did our half-season review. So if you've not watched that show yet, go check that out. We sort of give our half-season awards out and what we think about the Lions season. And for the first time in forever, it was a pretty positive show, which we really enjoyed. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. Don't forget about Lions Nation Unite, Herman Moore's pet project, to bring the best in Lions content creators together. And also, if you've not seen, go check out Herman because of all his comments about Jameson Williams recently, and they should put them in perspective for you. The man is speaking straight truth about JMO. And don't forget, we're a Twitch affiliate, we're YouTube monetized, we've got a tip jar, so if you want to support us that way, great, but we just appreciate having you all in the building. We've got feedback form, so if there's anything you want to let us know about the shows, just fill it in, we will take it on board. And don't forget, we have the merch store now as well. Me and Ryan both rocking stuff this evening. I've got the hoodie, Ryan's got the hat, specifically because it's getting very cold in the north of England at the minute, and we are hardy northerners who put on our heavy clothes before the heating goes on. But yeah, this is good stuff. See Dan Pask out there repping us, a few other guys as well. So yeah, if you want to, let us know. Right, let's just dive straight down into this. Not really any news I want to go through this week. I'm not going to talk about the Big Ten. They're launching nukes at one another, and God knows what's happening with that situation. It's like become a big episode of Takeshi's Castle where everyone's running around crazy, shouting stuff at one another, and God knows what's going to happen with it all. But it's just getting silly to this point. So we're going to dive straight down into the football, and there is a lot for us to go through. So we've got our few main games we're going to discuss, and then there's the upset corner, which is full this week, the survivors corner, which is also full this week, any pick watch fixtures we've not talked about, and then a few other games. We've got a lot to talk about, so we're just going to dive straight down into it. And as always, if you get into the title of the show you talked about first, you might not know right away who this was about, but last night a DJ saved my life, of course. We're talking about Washington running back Dylan Johnson and that absolute slobber knocker of a game on Saturday night, which I was lucky to just get home in time to see. Number 5 Washington on the road against number 20 ranked at the time USC go into the Coliseum. Me and Ryan both bet on Washington this week, but it was a week. Were they able to put the big boy pants on, go on the road and show that they are a serious team with serious aspirations for the college football playoffs? Well, what a game this was. Started off as a gunfight. USC started off an opening 6-minute drive, ended in a 2-yard rushing touchdown from Raleek Brown. He headed the long way around to the pylon. 7-0 to USC. Washington responded with basically an almost identical drive. They took nearly 6 minutes off the clock themselves. They ended it with a 2-yard rushing touchdown from Dylan Johnson, his first of many. But he just walked right through the front door. He ran in basically the straightest line forward that I've ever seen a running back run, and he didn't get touched. He waltzed it straight in to the end zone. 7-7. Both teams then had drives that stalled, which resulted in punts. But on the Washington punt, the USC special teams came up clutch. They blocked it on the Washington 8-yard line, courtesy of the tight end Cade Eldridge. And on the second play resulting from that, Caleb Williams faked to handoff, ran it in from 1 yard out, and it's 14-7 to USC. Washington, however, they march it straight back up to the USC red zone. But it looks like the USC defense gets a stop. What is one of those, they ask, because they don't know. But Washington get pinged by a 15-yard penalty because one of their O-linemen participated in a play without a helmet because it had got knocked off, and you're not allowed to carry on in the play if your helmet gets knocked off. They ended up at 3rd and 18 from the 22, but then Michael Penix steps up with a play of the season contender. He's hounded out of the pocket, he's contacted on the right hash, manages to break free, runs all the way over to the left sideline under pressure, and somehow he finds a throw right down the line to his tight end Devin Culp, of all receiving targets, who makes a hell of a catch under pressure, even manages to get both feet inbounds even though he only needs one. It's 22-yard touchdown, one of many big blunders from the USC defense, and they tie it up at 14 all. USC offense hits right back though. They obliterate Washington on the ground. Austin Jones and Darwin Barlow broke off like 30 and 40 yard runs consecutively. They get down to the Washington 1. Barlow gets the nod for the touchdown carry from 1 yard out, 21-14 USC. USC then have another chance to get Washington off the field, 3rd and 3 at the Washington 48. But the Huskies with another beautiful play that wrecks them. So it's a run play. All the receivers head left, which take the entire secondary out the equation. The offensive line blocks in all the USC D linemen and linebackers to the right. And Dylan Johnson is left with a massive hole down the middle. He's one-on-one with the high safety, who is out of position as he was receiver watching. He sprints to the pylon from 52 yards out. Massive play, ties it all up again at 21-21. And the fun doesn't stop. USC then break out the box of tricks next drive. Caleb Williams hands it off to Zachary Branch, who's motioning left. He then stops his run, turns back and goes right. But on his way back across, he tosses it back to Caleb Williams and it turns into a flea flicker. And Taj Washington, he is all alone at this point because every Huskies defender has committed against the run. He just breaks off out the back, 41-yard touchdown. 28-21 USC. It's an ingenious bit of play calling and it looks every bit deliberate as well there from Riley. But in fairness to Penix, he is completely unflustered. He comes out next drive. His first play is a 32-yard dime to Jalin Polk. But USC, they're able to get them to 4th and 6 at the USC 34. And once again, their defense screws up big time. Rome Odunze, of all players, is left alone. There is literally, when he makes the catch, no one within 7 yards of him, and they're able to convert all the way down to the USC 9 from 4th and 6. On 3rd and goal, Penix finds Polk for the touchdown. It's 28-28. There's 1.5 minutes to go in the first half at this point, and then comes the critical mistake in the game. USC, Caleb Williams, he gets strip sacked by Zion Tupuola Fetui. Washington get it at the USC 12 with less than a minute left, and 3 plays later, Dylan Johnson runs straight up the gut, untouched again, dives in for his 3rd rushing touchdown of the evening, and Washington get their first lead, 35-28. And with Washington getting the second half kickoff and USC unable to respond, it's basically they steal 2 drives worth of advantage, and this allows them to survive a big mistake at the start of the second half. Penix, 4 minutes in, he makes a rare risky throw. It's tipped, picked off in the USC red zone by Zach Gentry, the standout linebacker for USC, one of the few good defenders. And Caleb Williams then puts together yet another scoring drive. Big reception by Taj Washington on the drive, and then on 4th and 1, he escapes heavy pressure and another beautiful pass to Brendan Rice right on the edge of the end zone for a touchdown. The score's a level. But at this point, Washington now have first drive when the scores are level as opposed to USC, who did in the first half. It's 35-all at this point. Dylan Johnson on the next Washington drive breaks off another huge run about 50 yards, gets them all the way down to the USC 1, and Penix QB sneaks it in. It's 42-35. But Caleb, you know what, in fairness to him, they hit back again with another scoring drive. He hits Mario Williams in the end zone with this beautiful back shoulder fade pass from 20 yards out. Scores are level once more, but those were the last points USC would score. And there's 1 minute left in the third at this point. It's 42-all. Going into the fourth, USC's defense miraculously makes a stop. 12 minutes to go. Washington have to settle for a field goal at 45-42, but it's too late at this point. Caleb looks absolutely spent after carrying them all game. Austin Jones breaks off a huge run to the Washington 28, and even at 3rd and 13 they can still kick a field goal to tie it up, but Caleb takes a massive sack all the way back to the 50. You can see him trying to run out of it. He's got no energy left, and they've got a punt as a result of this. There's 8 minutes left at the time. And then Dylan Johnson once again, first play, breaks off a 53-yard run, breaks the spine of the team. Then he has a second run, gets all the way down to the USC 1. He stiffs arms a defender back to the Stone Age on a run to the perimeter. And on the next play, he barrels over about 4 USC defenders to go in for his 4th touchdown of the evening. The drive eats up 5 minutes. USC are 10 down with less than 3 to go. And they turn it over with a minute left, and that is all she wrote. Sorry about sort of lengthy monologue there, right? But this was an absolutely fantastic offensive game, backwards and forwards, and we questioned maybe a little bit Washington's credentials in the big game. This was huge for them. They answered every question asked of them in this.
Yeah, like they had leads, they had turnovers, they had penalties. They had a bit of... This was one of the first weeks of the season where literally everything's not gone their way. Other than, like I say, the Oregon win, everything else has been fairly pedestrian. And Penix Jr.'s pretty much had his way with most sides. But USC, to their credit, this time their defense, it got rolled over, but it still, at times, it did stand up and at least bare its teeth a little bit, even though it's usually pretty pedestrian. But yeah, USC made some questionable decisions. Like I say, I think I just kicked the field goal instead of trying to snap another down. I'd say where they were knocked out of field goal range, could have tied it. That felt pretty big. They left points on the board there. Yeah, both had questionable turnovers at crucial times. One, like I say, right at the end of half, one right at the start of half. Those could have really swung momentum either way. But in the end, Caleb Williams probably couldn't have done a lot more. Like I say, it feels like the season's kind of catching up with him now. Like I say, he's eating a lot of sacks. He has got tired. Like I say, he's looked like he's showing a bit of wear and tear from the season. Penix Jr., not one of his best days either. Like I say, he's not had to rely on a heavy run game for most games this season, but Dylan Johnson kind of dug him out the trenches at times, a few times this week, so they definitely had to win it with a different style, and in the end it showed. Now, nothing really stands between Washington and the Pac-12. Everyone has fallen away. Anyone that's emerged or tried to challenge their crown has gone by the wayside, and they look destined to make a playoff. I can't see how they can't, as long as they win out now.
And I mean, the scary thing, I guess, for opponents here is everyone says it's Penix, it's his arm, it's Roma Dunze, it's Jalen Polk, it's these guys. But as you've mentioned there, I think we saw one of the great running back performances in a long, long time on this one. So Dylan Johnson, who gets the episode named after him today, 26 carries, 256 yards, and 4 touchdowns, going nearly 10 yards a clip there. And I know you've got a couple of 50-yarder pieces in there, but I mean, like, his performance, the way that USC defense just could not deal with him, I mean, it was a running back performance for, I'd say, maybe the ages here. And just when they need it the most, you want to diversify your offense, put up points, especially when you're behind, take a bit of time off the clock, which they did towards the end. Superb from him.
Yeah, good game management. They didn't try to put it all on Penix. If they'd put it all on Penix and try and get him to pass his way out of trouble, I reckon they probably lose this game. Because the secondary for USC, like I said, penalties as well, didn't have it all his own way. Aside from some broken coverages, Dunze and Polk and that, they weren't really besting the corners or the safeties for the majority of the day, if anything. So, yeah, they had to show that they could win with a different style of offense this week.
And, you know, on USC's side, I mean, I think this was the first week, because we critique USC a lot. We call them frauds. We've never critiqued the offense. That's obviously one of the best in the country. It's hard not to feel sorry for Caleb in this situation, is it not? Because drive after drive after drive, he's going out there and they're scoring touchdowns, and it's like no sooner has he sat back on his chair than it's like their defense has given up a touchdown and he's got to go back out and he's got to do it all again. And you look at this game in a microcosm, he makes one mistake, that strip sack at the end of the first half, which it wasn't great. He'd sort of left the ball out behind him and it was loosely guarded, but some of those touchdown throws he made were amazing. The drives, just Washington couldn't handle him at all. And he makes one mistake and he loses, and he's at the end of the game. You can see he's exhausted. He's on his last legs, and that's not a knock on him. He's escaping pressure all the time. He's having to bail out his defense time after time after time. And you see the reaction afterwards where he's quite visibly upset and that, and it's hard really not to feel sorry for him, isn't it, given how much this team has let him down on the defensive side of the ball. You think all this work he's done all year, and ultimately he's going to be lucky to get a prestigious bowl game at this point.
Yeah, and this goes back to last year as well. Like, it's frustration for him. He's done everything that's been asked of him for the last 21 games. Pretty much nearly every week, bar a few dodgy performances. He's gone out there. He's been clinical. He's done everything that's asked of him. He has put up great numbers. He has given offense and done more than enough to win nearly every game he's played in. But defensively, consistently, more often than not, they have made his life so hard. It's like he's fighting the opponent and half of his team as well. And yeah, like I said, despite a Heisman, like I said, this year